we've used our taxes to initiate. I think it's incumbent upon government to complete them. My only bit is the mischief that is brewing in the NDC and the attempt by the NDC to create the impression that there's no cooperation in the House. Aplaho needs to be completed. The one in Yilo needs to be completed. All other works needs to be completed. But whilst doing that, we need to ensure that there's accountability, that nobody anywhere, I mean, the fact that contracts were awarded in the previous administration, monies were paid to them and contractors have absconded and all of that, we need to know. And I am looking forward to a more detailed presentation by the ministry on E-blocks. We want to know what the ministry is doing on E-blocks, what it has done. I have some facts here of about 20 schools that have been completed in this administration. And to think that this MPP administration is not interested in completing the project will be worrying. I mean, this is a government that initiated free SHS. The pressure that free SHS puts on government, puts on the people of this country to expand our infrastructure base, especially in terms of education, is huge. I mean, we started with the green and the yellow track and all of that. And we did that simply because there were no facilities to accommodate the students. But one of the challenges that we also face is that in fact, all of these E-blocks do not have housing facilities, or what we call the dormitories, attached to it.
But that was not the idea. They were community-day senior high schools.
You see, if you build, for instance, if you build a school in Fudwa, that absorbs close to about, has the capacity to admit over 1,005 students. How do you expect the people of Fudwa to produce 1,005 students when you have not properly so-called put in place accommodation facilities for such students? Students will be relying on houses, will be renting apartments and all of that to be able to accommodate themselves and to have the peace of mind to educate themselves. But they are non-existent. And that is why this government is also looking at the possibility of putting up dormitories along these E-blocks.
Okay. But should you be talking about misapplication of funds after what? Almost 5 years in office?
No, I've said that projects where funds have been misapplied, projects where contractors have abandoned, those contracts have been terminated, and that's what you spoke about. Areas where government can continue, they have, just like Aplau, from 23% to 96%. It is near completion. It is near completion. So it shows that the commitment is there. But whilst doing that, there's a need to also be accountable to the people. I mean, to audit and ensure that if monies were given to individuals, they should have used such money. I mean, I cannot...
Otherwise, it questions whether even PAC and the agencies are really doing their work in ensuring that people are being properly monitored and all that. Because it seems some people are doing the work, they are not getting the money. Others are not doing the work, they rather are getting the money. It begs the question about...
It does. I'm sure if you have listened to comments from the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, I mean, I think that there's a need for a review on how the Public Accounts Committee works. I mean, we only work to the Auditor General's report. But I think the committee should be given the powers to go beyond the Auditor General's report and begin to question some of these things, visit some of these sites, begin to question, and I'm sure we'll get to know the truth in it.
Okay.
Because these are public funds being expended. I mean, you sit down 5-6 years, a report is submitted to you. Just recently, we did some work on 2017 reports when we are in 2021. That should not be the case. We should be able to visit such projects and to be able to question them once the power is given to us. So there's a need for a review of how we work as public.
I'd like us to soon wrap up on the conversation on the e-blocks and move to Commenda, but the president was asked this question in an interview and he spoke for 1.5 hours, but somehow the answer to the demand by the chief is what has gained a lot of traction. He sarcastically said then the chief should go and complete the project because it's not for the chief to be issuing ultimatums to the education minister. There are demands that the president apologize. Mr. Adams, do you side with those who say the president should apologize and that Togbe Fiti has been offended?
Thank you, Jifa, for the opportunity. But just to I would answer that one, but once again, to indicate that, you see, like you rightly said, the community day schools are community day schools. They are designed to be day schools. And we have schools, even the old ones existing, with boarding facilities, that children walk for so many kilometers to attend to such schools because they are mixed. They are both day and boarding. So having a school located at a particular point where persons who would attend those schools would have to cover some distances is not a bad thing. And so I am surprised that anybody will say, because the school has a capacity for 1,005 and you do not have that capacity within that area, so you will not operationalize a school. It is absolutely wrong, and we think that the schools must be operationalized once they have been completed. And this giving of different figures, today this one will give a figure, former education minister Matthew Opoku Prempeh will say 46, when that is not the case. That has been challenged and instances given that it was more than that. Many years on, another minister is giving even a lower figure of completed schools under the previous administration. That is why I'm telling you that this government must sit up and provide appropriate information to the persons. Yes, the president's answer to the chief is absolutely wrong. The president should not have spoken the way he did because, one, Togbe Fiti doesn't take our taxes. When monies are collected, even from his people, in Aflao and other areas, it is lodged with government. It is lodged with, I would say, the president is the chief spending officer, because the finance minister or whoever presents the budget presents it on his behalf. And so all the monies that are collected, including monies that are collected from the people Togbe Fiti superintends, is surrendered to the president to spend. So if they are saying that you have introduced a system where monies that is collected from us is used to support education, but because you have failed to complete the infrastructure in my area, this big municipality do not have a secondary school, and therefore a lot of my people are not benefiting from that policy. And the response to him is that, is he the one to request for completion? Is the chief wrong in saying that the next batch of admissions will be around February? And it is his expectation that when that time comes, the school would be completed and his people will also benefit. The president's response is that, is he the one to give ultimatum, or if he feels that his own is, he should go and complete. Complete with what? To complete with that, I think that the president must apologize to the chief. The chief deserves. Look, it doesn't matter where a chief is. It doesn't matter where he comes from. It doesn't matter which people he presides over. Chiefs must be given the respect that they need. It was absolutely wrong for the president to have responded. You see, the president must know he's the commander-in-chief. He's the number one gentleman. But he is taken care of by us. And so he's supposed to answer when we asked questions. It is not the other way. The president is not taking care of the chief and his people and us. We are taking care, just like the way we are as members of parliament. We are supposed to answer to our people because they are taking care of us. We may be giving them, we may be supporting them. Like out of your pocket, you support some persons, you pay for their hospital bills, you pay for their fees, you pay for all kinds of things for them. Sometimes when disaster happens, you even buy roofing sheets, funerals happen, you may be doing all these things. It doesn't matter. They pay you. You are working at the expense of the taxpayer. So you must answer to them when they question you. You don't respond to them in the way the president did to the chief. Whether he was speaking to the chief directly, he was speaking to him indirectly, that is absolutely wrong. I have heard some defense that, it was a joke and that it wasn't the chief himself who spoke and that the chief even himself did not say exactly what has been reported that it is an ultimatum and that it was based on look, even if the chief was misreported, even if the chief has said exactly those things, the chief was not deserving of the response that he got from the commander-in-chief. And I think an apology is right in place. It's appropriate to show that our commander-in-chief does not disrespect some chiefs and respect others. Because, you see, on that same platform that the president spoke to the chief through the interview the way he did, he was cautioning us to be decorous in our conversation and the language, the way we use our language. Unfortunately, he himself has not been has not spoken right to the paramount chief of the Aflao traditional area.
But is it fair to pitch the president against the chief? Because it's not just Togbi Fiti alone who complained. There was the Yilo chief. And maybe we are making a mountain out of a molehill. Maybe he said it in jest. It's just that it's been picked up in a way that makes it look negative.
Jifa, that is why you are the president. That's why you are the commander-in-chief. You can leave that just comment for somebody else, somewhere lower, to do so they could easily summon the person before some bodies and then deal with. But not the president. The president should not be speaking in jest. The president, I don't think the president was there to joke. He took his thoughts serious. And that is why he decided to use that platform also to communicate to the people. And so the president was not there to joke. The president meant business when he went there. And so for me, I will not accept the statement that it was just, he was joking with. No. You cannot be joking with a concern that has been raised by a chief, no less a paramount chief. Even if it's a sub-chief, that chief has people that he takes who are paying taxes, who are Ghanaians, who need those services. So he was always speaking that this is what is present. And even in his call, he stated that the president have introduced at least what he calls a good program, that free SHS. But his people are not benefiting. They are not. So he is seeking to draw your attention to something you must do so that the program you have even introduced yourself will benefit his people also. Then this is the response he gets. I think that the chief is deserving of an apology from the president. Anything short of that will be unacceptable. It is not about pitching the president against anybody. It is not about creating a mountain out of anything. No. This is a real issue that we must confront, and that the comment from the president is disrespectful, discourteous of the chief. And no less a chief, but the paramount chief for the Aflao people. And I think that apology is in order.
Yes, Honorable Puku. Should the president have been more tactful? Or are we making a mountain out of a molehill?
I think we need to look at the circumstances surrounding the president passing the comment. First, as politicians, I mean, we are answerable to the people. And if you look at our cultural settings, I mean, chiefs have a critical role to play. I mean, they serve as heads of some local governance in our various communities. So I'm sure that the president appreciates that. I mean, this is a president who, in all his rounds, would insist that he wants to go and meet with chiefs. So it tells you how he reveres Ghanaian chiefs, the chieftaincy institution, and all of that. Sec 2, I mean, Togbe Fiati and the president.
Togbe Fiti.
Togbe Fiti, yeah. Mr. Fiati, so I thought that. Togbe Fiti and the president, I'm told, are friends. I mean, just recently in 2019, when the president visited Aplau, this is a chief that commended the president for turning around the economy of the country, an economy that he met that was in bad shape. The president has turned it around. He commended the president for his good works, especially along the borders of Ghana. So it tells you that these are persons that have some level of relationship. If you are to give a literal interpretation of what the president said, yes, that will be the conclusion, and that is what my brother Kofi is doing. But like the facts that are coming out, if the chief wanted the project completed, or he wants a continuity of the project, from the facts that we have gathered, this is a project that has moved from 23% to 96%. It tells you that the president is concerned. The president appreciates that it is his responsibility to make sure that the project is completed. So, I mean, jokingly saying that, oh, and all of that, for me, I think president came from, one, just to break the ice and to appreciate that the ultimatum from his good friend, Togbe Fiti, to his education minister, it's somewhat putting a lot of pressure on him as president. And for me, I appreciate that. I think that the president himself appreciates the fact that it is his responsibility to complete that project. It's not the responsibility of the chief to do that. And that is why the ministry, through government funds, is ensuring that the project comes to 100% completion point. So let us not give a literal interpretation to what the president said. If you do that, you are not being fair to the president. You are not being fair to the chief. And I'm happy that the chief brought this thing up. The president has given, has passed the comment on it. And I think it will lead to a lot of positives for the good people of Aplau. I'm sure in the next coming days, there will be a lot of attention on that E block, so that, just as the chief said, I mean, people can enjoy the free SHS.
But there's criticism of the president that he wouldn't have said that about other chiefs, or said that to other chiefs who had also criticized him, even that one directly in the face.
You see, the other bit is that an impression is being created. And I've seen some media, I've seen some video production done where people try to, first of all, play the video of the Yellow Chief. The Yellow Chief, and I think it's shown, the one you have on your screens, as against the comment of the president. But it's entirely different. There's a commentary by the Yellow Chief, and there's commentary by the Aplau, the Togbe Fiti in Aplau. And of course, if you are to play what the Yellow Chief said and add that of the president, it creates a certain clash, sort of. But I mean, I have listened to the Togbe Fiti, his commentary on the subject, and the need for government to complete the project.
And that he doesn't want to beg for education. So hearing that, certainly, I mean, I know sometimes things are said off the cuff, But would this be one that maybe the president will have to probably call Togbi Fiti and apologize? But to the extent that it was said in public, many want a public apology.
Like I said, I mean, these are good friends. I'm sure by now they might have spoken. And for me, the most important thing that needs to be done, especially to the chief and the good people of Plau, is to see to the completion of the school, is to see more development in the area. And I think the president is committed to it. I mean, it's something that is being done. So, like, if you were to give a literal interpretation, yes, one would say that, I mean, the comment was bad. But for me, it is the spirit behind it, the kind of friendship that the president has with Togbi Fiti. And sometimes you are left, I mean, because we are friends, I mean, sometimes you want to pass a comment or two. Recently, the president was in Manshia. I mean, and whilst introducing his ministers, he passed the joke about Honorable Afriye Akoto, who is the Minister of Agric, and Honorable Alancha Martin, that these are persons who, for a very long time, they've been wanting to be presidents of this country and all of that. I mean, it's just to break the ice. It's just to try and, first, if you are summoned to, if you are to appear before the chief in the palace, there was some level of fear. I mean, until recently, I had not even visited the chief's palace because they had a lot of fear in entering chief's palaces and all of that. So it was just to break the ice and to appreciate that, yes, the comment from the chief is something that needs attention. And I'm sure the Minister of Education is working 24/7 to ensure that that project comes to completion. That is what matters. Between friends, I'm sure they might have spoken now. They would have dealt with it and all of that. So this attempt to give a literal interpretation, this attempt to call on the president to apologize and all of that, I mean, I don't think it adds up to the completion of the project. Let's look at the way forward. Let's look at the real meat. The real meat is to get that school functioning. And it's the responsibility of the chief to call on government to do that. We pay our taxes to government. And government appreciates that. And that's why government is doing the job. It's the responsibility of government to go in there and complete the job. So, I don't think, yes, people would give a lot of meanings to it. But I think we need to be looking at the real meat of what the president said. The president went ahead and said that the project is on course. Many of such projects across the country is being looked at. And for me, that is the importance, that is the important part that we should take home.
Okay, and it's still Key Points here on TV3 and 3FM. Some of you have sent your messages, I'll read them. But let's take a quick break, and when we come back, another group of people are grieved, the people of Cape Coast. We'll be right back.